This video is brought to you by the EA Creator Network. Shout out to EA for letting me play the game early. So everything is a work in progress, so it's subject to change. Let's get to the video. This is the story of a 400-pound high school player that had dreams of playing quarterback his whole life. Grew up watching Mike Vick, Lamar Jackson, who were scramblers, and he was actually gifted with 4.4 speed as a 400-pounder. The college coach all wanted him to play defensive tackle. Even his coach in high school wanted him to play defensive tackle, and he did it for his freshman through junior season. But senior year, he decided to chase his dream to be a college quarterback and lost a lot of his scholarship because he switched to quarterback full time. Now he must gain his status back and prove to the college coaches that he can be a great quarterback. He is no longer a 5-star recruit. He is now a 2-star recruit. So Tony must now prove to all the college scouts that he is still a 5-star candidate, even though none of the coaches in college think so. So a reporter comes and asks Tony, what does he want to do? Tony tells him he's trying to be a pro and that he'd rather play for a prestigious coaching staff over being in a big city and having coaching stability. And he also wants to be close to home so he can be close to his family. He lives with his grandma, so he wants to be close so that his family can visit his games, that he ain't too far away. Tony's from St. Louis, Missouri. Coach gave Tony a little talk, a little hype motivation, but he tell Coach whatever because he know Coach really doesn't believe in him. Now it's time for Tony to pick his top 10 schools so that he can send out letters so that hopefully that they will respond back. So one of the places Tony picked is Missouri State because it's home. He picks Mizzou because it's close to home once again. And he sends a couple other schools that he heard had good eats in the campus dining halls, such as Texas and Colorado and Florida State. And hopefully he'll get a response. Now it's time for Tony's first high school game as a quarterback. Coach gives him some more motivation, but once again, Tony blows it off. Tony had a lot of scouts at this high school game because they were curious, would he be able to perform as a quarterback or should he take his butt back to D-line? That's what they wanted to know. Tony made it apparent to complete every objective, even though he went against his cousin. His cousin is his rival at another school. So Tony ran the option very well and led to a straight touchdown play. In the second play of the game, the scouts were like, okay, that's cool, but we want to see a little bit more from you, man. We want to see a little bit more. So they wanted to see if he can actually score a touchdown. Because, yes, you can run the option play, but can you score? So, once again, they run the option play. This is a run-heavy offense. Tony gets his boy open. He over there in the open field, and he gets stopped at the 30. Now, Tony is close to goal line. He looks for a touchdown, his touchdown opportunity, and sees his boy right there bow. Then he gets his first touchdown. The coach is like, okay, that's cool. That's cool. That's cute, Tony. But can we see a little bit more? So Tony keeps showing them more. He keeps showing them more. They want him to scramble for 10 yards now and avoid losses at all. So no sacks. So Tony gets upfield, hits a juke, and runs upfield, shows the speed that throws everybody on the field off. They didn't know he was that fast. It looked like Tony got a little bit faster than he was last year, and he throws a touchdown dot. And he throws another touchdown right after that. 2 touchdowns in a row. Now they're like, hold on, this brother actually cold. And they start giving him scholarships again. Tony's like, see, I told y'all I could do it. And the coach is slowly starting to believe it. He still is 2-star, though. And in one game, he gets a scholarship from Missouri State. Coach is hyped, and he warns him about the next game, trying to get him hyped. And he's like, this is nothing, coach. Now, a classmate called Lane asks him to study with him. He's like, hey, you want to study? Tony doesn't study, bro. Tony is not a studier. He a cheat off the pretty girls in class type brother. So he tells him, no, I'm going to work on my game a little bit more. So it helped him out, but Illinois didn't like that. Tony held that a grudge. But Coach Beard from Missouri State did like it. He's like, yo, we want you. We want you to do a certain thing for his next game. So Tony like, hey, I do have some interest in going to Missouri State. Y'all were my number 1, Mizzou number 2. So Tony looks at what they want him to do. He looks at the offer, the scholarship offer, where he's ranked. And he's impressed. He's like, okay, I mean, they're not that good, but at least I can be close to home. So game 2, he goes out and performs as well as he gets a touchdown on the first drive. He sees an opening, uses that speed, and takes off for the quick touchdown. The scouts are impressed. They were especially impressed with this next play. The scouts could not believe what they were seeing. Tony was like legit 4.3 speed as a 400-pounder. This has never been seen in football in history. There has never been a player this fast with the ball in his hand at this size. Tony started getting famous. He started getting clout. He started getting trended on TikTok, YouTube, millions and millions of views. No one had ever seen anything like this as Tony displayed more of his skill in this game and his arm power. They could not believe he also had arm power. He throwing like Mahomes and running like Vic. They couldn't believe it. And in goal line, you already know he about to run somebody over, and the people are actually scared to go against him. Tony started getting scholarship left and right after his viral game, as it went viral in every single social platform. The girls started DMing him. The brothers started asking for advice. And Mizzou even gave him his scholarship offer, as that was one of the places that Tony really wanted to go to. But Illinois started hating because he didn't study and get the academics correct. Well, he was like, forget you, Illinois. I don't need you anyway. I got all this hype now. He's starting to get the hype, and the girls starting to start right now. They like, hey, are you going to homecoming? He like, look, I'm going. And then they ask, who you going to go? Who you going to ask? So Tony think he him, so he going to ask the head cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? The head cheerleader going to do it, and she's not interested. She shows up with the team 4-star safety, and you never felt the pain like this. Tony was pissed, so he took it off on the next game because the girl let him down. He'll never live this down, so next game he throws a bomb across the field. He is now mad. He's mad. The girl pissed him off. He's like, oh, you going to show up for the 4-star safety? I'll become a 5-star then. So Tony was dedicated to get to a 5-star. That was his whole goal now. Other than food, he loved the women. So Tony's full goal now was to become a 5-star QB by the end of his high school senior season. He was showing a lot of greatness. Jukes, cutting upfield, showing the quickness, showing the IQ, showing that he has the poise to do it. Look, D lineman chasing him around. He knows that he has the speed advantage. He runs upfield, and everybody's scared to tackle. Who wants to tackle a 4.3 running 400-pounder running at you 6'5"? It's scary to all the high school players, and they're all starting to get nervous. I'm like, yo, I don't want to go against him. You go against him. He's bigger than the D lineman. He's bigger than his own old lineman, and he can jump, and he can run, and he can pass. He can do it all as he takes his team to another win. They can't believe it. Like, yo, Tony is actually, maybe we second guess Tony. Maybe we should have took another chance, is what all the college coaches were saying, the 4-star and 5-star schools, as he started getting offers from 3-star schools now. Colorado, Coach Prime, like, yo, that brother good. Coach Prime even believed in him. Florida State, the people, all his lists started contacting him. They like, hey, actually, we were wrong, Tony. I know we said you were a D tackle, but honestly, you may be able to pull it off. And he started getting all these scholarship offers. And with this play, he suddenly became a 3-star. So Tony sees that his status is going up. The coach of Mizzou is even hitting him up. He's like, yo, you complete our objectives next game, we'll give you the starting spot. So Tony easily accepts that. So he goes to the next game thinking that he can literally go to Mizzou and stay around his family if he performs this next game. So that's exactly what it is. They want to throw on the run and complete passes outside the pocket. He does that easily. Not only does he does that, he throws a touchdown pass right after that. So they're like, wow, this brother is cold. Look at him. Look at him. He's dancing. He's happy. He couldn't do it. Now, Mizzou person wants him to throw another touchdown. They text him mid-game, throw a touchdown for us. Bow, throws a touchdown for him. Just like that. Without even thought, he read up a play, told the dude, hey, run a streak. I got you. He like, all right, bet. And he threw it to him. He saw it. He did more than that. He ran it in for him, too. They wanted to see him run in a touchdown and scramble 10-plus yards, and that was easy for Tony. That's nothing. Although Tony's team didn't have the greatest defense, and they kept allowing the other opponent to come back, Tony's skill alone as a QB and a leader as a QB kept bringing them back in the game and even led them to a game-winning drive as he pretends to scramble, looks upfield, targets his receiver, and hits him and wins the game for their high school team. And then once again, the college coaches couldn't believe it. They're like, wow, this brother is good. Duke couldn't believe it. They gave him a scholarship. He didn't even know Duke had a football team. He was shocked. He like, oh, shoot. Duke got a team? Okay. And then ODU, all of them was asking. And Tony was basically a 4-star now. So he was like, oh, I'm almost a 4-star. We got to turn it up a notch. This was the last game of Tony's high school career. It was the state championship, and Tony had to do everything in his power to try to become a 5-star recruit. This was a nationally televised game, so Tony actually showed every skill that he has, and he power drive to lead their team. But they are also playing the #1 team in the United States also. So Tony was #2 team versus the #1 team. So, of course, this is going to be a televised game with a lot of college recruits. Alabama, all the big dogs were there. Nick Saban was there. Prime, all of them were there watching this game. So he knew he had to perform. He knew he had no choice. Tony does that amazing scramble. He follows it with another scramble to try to get in there, but he doesn't, but he power drives in the very next play with another QB blast type play. After that, Tony is forced to win the game. 4th quarter, 36 seconds left. Tony hits a play action, sees his boy wide open, touchdown with 30 seconds left. He wins the state championship. Colleges want him all over the place. Alabama offering. Now Tony is now a 5-star recruit officially, and every single college in the United States wants Tony on their team. Now it's time for Tony to make his college decision. Tony decides to stay close to home so he can see his family, and he goes to Mizzou. When he could have went anywhere in the United States, he chose Mizzou to stay near his fam. So now he's a Mizzou recruit, a Mizzou starting QB, and he's want to take them to the SEC championship and the national championship as Coach Moore welcomes him and greets him and tells him he's ready for him to step up and be the next leader. Tony gives him a confident answer. He think he's him. He thinks he's that guy. He tells him, yeah. What about that playing time? And Tony enters the college football scene as an 82 overall. So he's not that bad off rip. And he has an academic advisor, Mary Porter, that he feel like he ain't going to like it. She already being a stiffler with him. So he go ahead and snaps back at her like, look, I ain't got time for all that. Mizzou hands Tony the starting spot day one, and he starts off with the first drive, and they don't score the first drive. As 3rd and 3, they run the ball, not trusting Tony just yet, and they end up doing a turnover on downs. Tony like, yo, y'all got to let me throw the football. And something did happen.
First down, now back to the line. The play action fake. Unloads to the wideout. All kinds of room to throw that one in there. And he just kept running, and he ran away from the crowd, and he'll take it in. Touchdown!
Tony scores his first career touchdown, and he's looking to run up the score since this is an easy team. Looks downfield, hits the receiver wide open, and the receiver scores again. That's another touchdown. That's 2 touchdowns for Tony. Tony hype. He's like, oh, I'm feeling it now. I'm feeling it. So Tony runs around, throws another dot, and another touchdown. FCS Southeast stood no chance against Mizzou, and Tony knew that. He knew this was a good warm-up game to show his skills. He hit the scramble play, breaks tackle, runs upfield, and he starts to outrun the whole team, showing that big man speed that nobody can keep up with, and he scores a touchdown.
The defense and takes it in. Touchdown, Tigers.
Making you play very disciplined, and the QB takes it himself, gets in for the score.
Tony was having the most ideal first game that anyone could have as a freshman, and he was just out there just throwing dots and touchdowns left and right. They couldn't stop that boy. They couldn't stop him. And Tony was getting a little ego secretly. Tony secretly getting ego because he believed that he might be low-key the best player in college football. Even though he's only playing an FCS team, he still felt they're not even close to being competition to him. They're not even near that competition level. So Tony ends up winning the game. His team wins their first game. They're 1-0, and it's looking good for Tony. Coach Jones even liked what he saw, gives Tony his praise. He's like, you doing good, bro. And Coach trust is increasing. Tony is doing so good that his attributes going up. He is now an 83 overall, no longer an 81. We're going to see how good he get. Next game is against Kansas. So Tony balls out against Kansas as well. This is nothing. Hits him with a scramble. It's his first Division I opponent. Easy touchdown with the scramble. Each possession, they throw a screen pass to the running back, and the screen pass is successful, and the running back get loose. He get real loose all the way for a touchdown. They got Tony another touchdown because the running back cooked that team, absolutely torched the team. The next drive, Tony sees an opening on the right side of the field, looks downfield, and gets an easy scramble touchdown. They can't keep up with Tony, man.
Escape route. More to the board with that trip to center downs right on the doorstep for this offense. Going for 6. Touchdown, Tigers. Quick strike through.
Missouri Tigers end up absolutely destroying the Kansas Jayhawks. They didn't stand a chance, and Tony's improvement is starting to give him Heisman considerations already. But Coach is trying to give him a level head, so he's still on him pretty hard. Coach Jones making him do community service at a local food bank. Tony really liked the food, but he didn't want to do no community service. So his energy decreases a little bit. But then Tony gets a notification. He's like, hold on, who is this? Some girl hit him up. Hey, didn't we meet? My sorority throwing an initiation party. You should come. Tony like, hold on, a party? I don't really like you like that, but I like your sister. I seen her around class. So Tony skips lab and goes there. But unfortunately, they expose his DMs. So it's kind of embarrassing. It hits his brand a little bit. Now he's getting roasted on TikTok.
What a scene. A spectacle. A cavalcade of dancing lights trying to hype this crowd into a frenzy. And it's working because they know what a huge matchup is in store. Welcome, everyone, to the home of the LSU Fighting Tigers, Baton Rouge and Tiger Stadium. As we'll see the number 18 team in the country, the Missouri Tigers, taking on another SEC rival, the LSU Tigers. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack, and Jesse Palmer with me. Guys, it's time to get it going.
Tony plays against the LSU Tigers versus the Mizzou Tigers. Mizzou don't like that they both got the same name, and he gets a sack, and he ends up a turnover on downs in his first possession. LSU was loud, but Tony gains his composure and locks in.
The play action fake. And he'll step into the end zone. Touchdown, Missouri!
You know, this guy's had a big role in this offense.
After that touchdown, Tony got a little bit more confidence. Once again in the red zone, right before the sack, throws a dot for a touchdown. Now they're up 14 against the LSU, 14-7. It's second and 17, still in the first quarter. Tony hits another dot, and the receiver takes it all the way down the field to its almost touchdown. And they're in the red zone again. You know, that's Tony's zone. When the red zone is Tony's zone. He looks, sees his tight end right there for a quick dot. Another touchdown, just destroying LSU. Secondary, they can't read Tony's eye. They don't know where he going next. They scared he gonna run. As when he runs, he is a dangerous threat. As you see right here, gets a first down. And right before the half, but it's short, and they kick a field goal. It doesn't matter. Up 24-21, fourth quarter. Tony does a read option, and he gets stopped in the fourth quarter. It's 3rd and 13. Tony's looking for a way to score. He finds his receiver, but it's short, 4th and 6. Now they'll have to kick another field goal. Now it's 27-21, 2 minutes left. Tony trying to seal the game at this point, and the running back is gone. Takes off for a touchdown and seals the game versus LSU. At that point, Tony knows that they have a good chance of winning the national championship if they're beating teams like this early without any chemistry as a true freshman. After celebrating the win, the advisor that Tony hates so much, Mary Porter, is on his tail again that he needs to study more because his GPA is falling. We go ahead and study before his big game versus Illinois.
Toughest things to do in all of college football is win on the road. When you're a ranked team going into a hostile environment, these fans are ready to knock them off course. Welcome everyone to the home of the Fighting Illini, Memorial Stadium in Champaign, Illinois. As we'll see the number 16 team in the country, the Missouri Tigers, taking on a team from the Big Ten, the Illinois Fighting Illini. Glad to have you with us for EA Sports College Football. I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack, and Jesse Palmer with me.
Now, Tony had a personal vendetta against Illinois because Illinois was one of the main ones that took their scholarship when Tony switched the quarterback. So Tony made it a point to make sure he defeats Illinois and that coach that doubted him wrong as he leads them to a touchdown early in the game in the first quarter. In the next possession, he hits his receiver for a 90-yard touchdown as he catches it and gets a lot of yards after the catch and takes it all the way for a touchdown, making Missouri up 14-0 against Illinois. The next possession, Tony looking to run the score up a little bit more, scrambles, runs upfield, takes a big hit, but it doesn't matter as a few plays later, he drives it down the field for another touchdown. It's now 21-0 Illinois, and another touchdown play happens shortly after.
Turn one loose downfield. At midfield, he's got room. Sprinting away. Turning on the jet. And he ran away from the crowd, and he'll take it in. Touchdown, Missouri!
Later in the fourth quarter, they do a QB option play, and Tony runs it all the way to the 1-yard line. And you already know what's going to happen now. And he's going to look for a receiver. And, you know, when it's red zone, it's Tony's zone. It's time to score. And Mizzou ends up taking the win over Illinois. And Tony's so happy because he got his revenge on that college recruiter and those coaches that doubted him. And he ended up taking his team the next year as a true freshman and winning against the team. Shortly after Illinois game, his teammate notifies him like, yo, bro, you on the Heisman watch. So Tony gives a confident answer because he know he might be able to win it. He's like, yo, I got this, baby. The coach was so impressed, he gives him a challenge for #1 Georgia because they're playing the #1 team in college football. And Tony accepts this challenge of completing a 35-yard pass and then no picks.
Now the mid-season clash of teams who've earned their spot in the top 25, trying to come up with a victory today and make a big push toward the home stretch. Welcome to Athens, Georgia. We are between the hedges at Sanford Stadium, home of the Georgia Bulldogs. And we'll see the number 14 team in the country, the Missouri Tigers, taking on a playoff team from last year, the Georgia Bulldogs. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Chris Fowler here with Kirk Hermstreet. Let's get this thing underway.
Now, this would be the first true test for a true freshman. Tony never played in Georgia before, never experienced anything like this. The crowd was so loud that he couldn't even hear his own stomach rumbling, as he was only able to eat 3 pregame pizzas instead of his normal 5. He was a little hungry this day, and he regrets that he should have maybe ate a little bit more last night, but he does get his first touchdown against Georgia. However, his team could not keep up with Georgia's offense. Georgia kept on scoring on the Missouri defense, so Tony did his best to keep him in the game with QB scrambles, dots here and there, running upfield, but Georgia all around was a much better team than Missouri. Missouri didn't have a chance, and Georgia winning the championship last year had a lot of momentum. Tony did his best, though, and in the second quarter, they were up 14-7. Third quarter, Tony still trying his best, doing dots here and there to try to get his team some kind of chance. 3rd and 3, he doesn't get the first down, and he's off the field once again. It's a little upset. His team's like, I'm open. He like, nah, bro, that O-line trash, gang. He told him that the O-line is trash. The O-line is getting dominated by that. And then he throws his first interception of the season against number 1 Georgia, and it's not looking good. Georgia is livid. Georgia is hype. Georgia is slobbering. They want to beat Missouri so bad. Tony does a terrible mistake, but he blames his running back for not catching the ball. Next on 2nd and 20, Tony tries to do a deep bomb to his receiver, and he actually does not connect, but they get a pass interference play, taking him into the red zone. He tried to score in the red zone, gets a little bubble screen, nowhere. 2nd and 13. 2nd and 13, he's trying his best. The receivers don't even have buttons to push. They're so loud. He gets a sack and a fumble, and they recover the fumble.
When you're a team that comes in, Kirk, with great expectations, big goals at the end, you're going to get tested. They were tested here today by another ranked team. I was impressed how they responded.
Chris, there's no doubt about it. I think the thing that really stood out.
Although losing, Coach Jones was not that upset, as he's been noticing Tony improving, so he wasn't really too upset with that loss. He liked how Tony performed and didn't give up on the game, and he knows Georgia was a much better team. He told him, just get ready for the next game and dominate. Tony was playing against Texas, one of his top choices that he almost went to if he didn't go to Missouri, because Tony has a lot of family down in Texas. So this was a big game that everybody came to watch Tony play. Meemaw and Pawpaw was there, the matrions of the family. They were there watching. All his cousins and all of them were all there. So he knew he had to show out against Texas, and he did, as he led one of his best games of all time so far as a true freshman with multiple touchdowns back to back. They couldn't stop that boy. Everything he threw was a touchdown almost in this game. Unbelievable. All over ESPN, all over TikTok, all over YouTube. People was just posting this game highlights. Every highlight in this game went viral, especially this next play.
How about this defense digging in its heels after the big play? It's now 3rd and goal. Touchdown, Missouri! And they take it in for 6 more points. That one puts them in really good shape to get back on the right track and get another W.
And you see the option being such a pain in the behind of the best programs in college football. When you got quarterbacks that have those multiple options, they're making you play very disciplined, and the QB takes it himself, gets in for the score.
Tony trucking the linebacker went viral on every single platform, and Tony was getting national recognition, getting talks pieces from ESPN, people like Stephen A., Skip Bayless. They couldn't believe it. They didn't think it would be sustainable in the NFL. But they did agree that it was very entertaining to watch, and they've never seen anyone perform at this level without being in shape. This is unbelievable. But even with Tony's good play, there always has to be some negativity as the student newspapers start writing about the coaching staff thinking about benching Tony. Tony got pissed. He like, probably Coach Brian, if anybody. And the coaches heard about it and they were very unhappy with that. But shortly after that, even more bad news. Miss Mary Porter stated that you can no longer play. You have too many Fs. So Tony GPA fell below 2.0 and he couldn't even play anymore. So he was pissed, and Mackenzie over asking him, hey, we throwing a party. And then Tony like, I can't play anyway. I might as well go to the party and break the curfew because according to Miss Mary Porter, I can't play. So it did increase his popularity around campus, and the teammates respected him more. But Tony still couldn't play until he got his grades up. So Tony's down, but Mackenzie gives him an option. He like, hey, I got some answers. Do you want to cheat? So Tony like, back in his day, he would normally cheat with the pretty girl, and he gonna go ahead and take it. And he got the GPA increase. He also got better as his skills went to an 84. Now he's not 84 overall, and because he cheated, he can now play the next game.
Game of any college football season is cause for celebration. Senior Day, a perfect way to celebrate and remember all of the accomplishments of this group of leaders. Welcome to Commonwealth Stadium in Lexington, Kentucky, home of the Wildcats. As we'll see a squad from the SEC, the Missouri Tigers, taking on another SEC rival, the Kentucky Wildcats. For EA Sports, I'm Reese Davis, Jesse Palmer, and David Pollack with me. Guys, can't wait to get this started.
Tony ended up using his classmates' cheating papers and ended up making it eligible so he can continue playing football. Yes, it was a great risk. And yes, Mary Porter may be a little suspicious how suddenly he got A's without studying. But Tony didn't care. He just wanted to play football. He didn't care about no grades. He trying to go to the league. He don't care about none of that major anyway. He doing basic education anyway. He don't care about none of that. So he goes to the next game and dominates with Kentucky. Just dominating. Mizzou ends up blowing out Kentucky as they couldn't stop Tony. Tony's in pure rhythm. One of the greatest true freshmen that the world has ever seen. Absolutely cooking, destroying the Kentucky defense. He told them all on the sideline, stick to basketball. Y'all do not have no good football team. Y'all need to stick to basketball because Tony can also play basketball, but we ain't talking about that as they go up 41-0 against Kentucky, absolutely sweeping Kentucky. Tony with another epic performance, still on the Heisman watch, but Mary Porter grew suspicious, dug a little bit, and found out Tony cheated, and the worst thing possible has happened. His GPA took an even bigger hit, and they told the coaches, so he is no longer able to play the remainder of the season. Coach Butch Jones even told him, you going to have to take a bench seat now. We're very unhappy. And he said, okay, sure, go ahead. Thanks for the heads up, coach. And Coach Jones was pissed. His happiness decreased, and they're about to bench him. They warned him, like, you keep playing with us, you're going to get benched, son. We don't care how good you're doing. Mary Porter's still on his head. Hey, you're going to go to study hall no matter what. Tony hates Mary Porter, but he ends up going to the study hall. But he's still ineligible, cannot play against Arkansas. So he has to skip all the Arkansas games. So he just works on this craft a little bit. You see, he getting better. He got 85 overall. He's just working in the gym since he can't do anything else. He's eating buffets at Golden Corral, going crazy, then going to the gym and back to Golden Corral. But you see, the coaches are all angry and unhappy with him. They do not like that. For the last game of the season, Mizzou did the unthinkable. They brought Tony out there just to get benched. They did not let him play. He had the grades to do it, but the coach had officially benched Tony for having bad grades and having a smart mouth. So Tony had to sit and watch his team win without him against ECU, and he was livid, and he knew at that moment The Mizzou coach wasn't going to give him a fair chance, so he had to leave after the freshman year to go somewhere else, and he knew it was time to transfer. Tony entered the transfer portal because he had to get the heck out of Missouri after Coach Butch Jones did him dirty like that. So he chose one of the other best options that he almost picked the first time, and where the family and where the good food at, and that is Texas Longhorns. He loved Longhorn. That's his favorite restaurant. He loves steak. He loved all that, so he thinking they got the best eats in Texas. So maybe we need to take our talents to Texas, take over the starting job, and run the Longhorns and run it up, because he did see a lot of love with Texas, and he dominated against Texas when he played them. So, of course, they took him. They're like, sure, we'd love to take him from Missouri, buddy. So, Tony ended up going to Texas as an 86 overall. He's doing good. And he decided to switch his number up. He was number 1 back in Missouri in high school, but he don't like just one of them. He like 3 of them. He want not one burger, he want 3 of them. Not one fry, he want 3 of them. Not one pizza, we need 3 of them. So in the offseason, Tony sat and did a QB battle and to compete with QB1 to take his job, even though he was the established starter. Amazing that they had to give him the starting spot after dominating practice. They had never seen a QB this good since Vince Young here. They like, you better than the Archie Manning. He just came through here and left. You come in here cooking. Like, they was like, oh yeah, this is it right here. This is him. This is him right here. So as he went and easily took that starting spot, just dominated the practice squad. They're like, oh, Missouri gave us a gem. And Tony obviously going to win the position battle. Stole it from him. Even though old boy's a higher overall, the coaches trusted Tony a lot more than they trusted Williams. And Tony just improving left and right. Now at 87. Went to an 89 after that. And we about to be in the 90 category. And we ain't even touched sophomore year yet. Wait till we do the sophomore. Tony plays his first game at UTEP and gets his first ever Texas Longhorn touchdown.
You want to be gelling on offense and on defense. I think.
Oh, out of space. Got some room, headed to the goal line. Touchdown, Longhorns! Nice catch and good work afterwards to get it into the end zone. Smokey the Cannon, not the only one using explosives around here, and it has electrified this Longhorn crowd.
Tony thought this atmosphere was way better than Mizzou's, like way more live. He felt the support instantly when he went to Texas. Everything was gelling for him perfectly this year. As he sit here and do a little QB dive when he was wide open, and he's looking downfield for a quick touchdown, gets his second touchdown of the day, just absolutely cooking UTEP. He like, bro, I ain't even heard of this guy. I ain't gonna lie. I didn't even know they had a UTEP. Oh, he said that's how I knew they was trash. But he scored another touchdown. They literally on their own, 10-yard line, and he's looking deep, and he hits a scramble, showing his speed.
Kept it, and he's past the marker. Turning on the Jets. And the strategy of just letting the quarterback run until he gets tired is not a winning one. Another explosive play and another
right away. You allow him to get outside the pocket, he is going to take off, and he is very difficult to tackle in the open field. He's got running back-like ability.
Back in their goal line, you know it's Tony zone. It ain't red zone, it's Tony zone. He hits his running back. He has a cold running back, runs it in for a touchdown. Just absolutely blowing out UTEP. You like, bruh, get these dudes out of here. This is easy. Way too easy. Another touchdown as he was getting hit. He like, well, let's see how much we can score. Who wanna guess how much we can score? That's what he said. Tony said that, and he takes off for another big scramble. They can't stop. He's way faster than D lineman. D lineman is gas trying to keep up with him. Sees another open.
He'll try to do it. Oh, he's got some space. Headed to the end zone. And he waltzes in for the score. Touchdown, Texas! Texas fighting them through the air and on the ground, reminiscent of Colt McCoy's big day against A&M in 2009.
Yeah, just doing whatever they want. And this is a good spot to be. Listen, Texas gets a highly recruited kid at quarterback every single year. Can this be the guy that takes them to the next level? Today is a good day.
Texas blow right past UTEP, 66-10, not even a contest. Absolutely flooded him. And Tony never been on a team this good in his whole life. So you already know, against New Mexico State, they suffered the same exact fate. Once again, another team that's not even competing with Texas level. Tony just out here playing for fun. He's never been on a team. He's never had an O-line this good. He's never had receivers this good. He never had a running back that can do his own. He used to doing everything. So when you give him this situation, it ain't nothing that he can't do.
The seam wide open. Touchdown, Texas. And that one will give him the lead.
And he's in for his third rushing touchdown. College fantasy football players, that is what you want to see. +6, +6, +6. Let's
When his red zone is Tony's zone, Tony hits his running back with a good yardage. Tony knocks somebody out. And the next play right there, he hits him again for a touchdown. Tony's running back, he loved him. Him and him got together real good. They gelled like peanut butter and jelly on the option read because they didn't know who was worse, the fast running back or the QB that'll run you over. But Texas rolls right over New Mexico State, 43-19, runs up the score a bit with 5 touchdowns, only 188 passing yards, but 5 touchdowns, still very solid. Slab Steakhouse offers Tony his first NIL, and you already know anything with steak, he gonna take it, especially for the offensive lineman. He like, oh yeah, they need to eat, but low key, I need to eat more. But I'm for sure gonna take a Slab Steakhouse. That's not even a question. Tony takes the Slab Steakhouse deal. That's his first NIL, and it gives him +2 strength for his lineman. So now Tony upgrades again, and he is now a 90 overall after that. 90 overall, Tony starting to look real good. Now he's playing Michigan next as a 90 overall. They give it to the running back on the screen. You already know Michigan up 7 at this point, but Tony's not worried. He's like, oh, Michigan, man, I ain't heard of nothing good in Michigan in a minute. Tony hits up the field.
Oh, he's getting ahead of steam. Touchdown, Texas. And once he found open space, the band might as well start playing.
And you've seen the evolution of the option, and you've seen the evolution with the scrambling quarterbacks that can run and be so dynamic and just so much to defend. The quarterback says, forget that. You defend everything, I'll take it myself. In for 6.
Tony continued to rack up touchdowns against Michigan, and Michigan had no answer for this dynamic offense, one of the greatest offenses in the country, because it was the most unpredictable. Nobody expect Tony to be this fast, this athletic at this size. Scouts were like, if you just lose 30, even 40 pounds, you might run a 4.2. And he like, nah, if anything, I need to gain weight so I can keep the speed and be stronger. NFL scouts are already at all these games eyeballing Tony. They couldn't believe what they're seeing. Teams like Cleveland Browns, all of them all were very interested as Tony running through people, bullying people for touchdowns. They didn't even want to tackle him anymore. So Tony ends up blowing by, and the Texas Longhorns destroys Michigan 55-28 with 270 passing yards and 7 TDs. Just absolutely dominating the Michigan defense. They had no answer for him. Tony literally out here playing like he in high school still. It's the same feeling, he said. He's like, I don't see comp out here. Take me to the lead. Next against Ole Miss. Texas blows right past Ole Miss. Not even a competition as they score 66-0. Didn't even let them boys score. And Texas absolutely destroys Ole Miss. Not even a chance. 378 passing yards, 7 touchdowns. And this is actually a school record. Tony breaking records left and right. Texas never seen a QB this good. Never. Just out here throwing dots. They have no answer. And this is Heisman worthy. Heisman all over the place. Stephen A. talking Heisman. ESPN having hour-long convos.
A scene, a spectacle, a cavalcade of dancing lights trying to hype this crowd into a frenzy, and it's working. seat because they know what a huge matchup is in store. Welcome to the home of the Alabama Crimson Tide, Tuscaloosa, Alabama, Saban Field at Bryant-Denny Stadium. As we'll see, the number 15 team in the country, the Texas Longhorns, taking on the runner-up from last year's national championship, the Alabama Crimson Tide. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack, and Jesse Palmer with me. Guys, it's time to get it going.
Bama scores on their first drive, but Tony helps by countering back with a touchdown of their own to make this a competitive game off rip. Keep an eye out for Alabama, as that is not a team you want to sleep on, no matter what their record is. So Tony's locked in. He know all about Alabama. He pays attention to big school teams like this. And Bama did a good job keeping the Texas offense off the field to the point where they only have 30 seconds left to do something. As you see right here, it's 30 seconds in the fourth quarter. Tony runs upfield to try to get a field goal.
Extra first downs, you start to wear those defensive linemen out. So late in the game, this could pay off. Great job.
Touchdown, Longhorns! They've got the lead here in the fourth.
Man, this game has been incredible to watch. And
Tony with a game-saving drive on some Pat Mahomes, Tom Brady stuff leads him down for a win in the fourth quarter. Very clutch win. He barely got on the field at all. They kept him off the field for the majority of the game. That's why the stats are low, but he still has a game-winning drive, takes him all the way down. You can never count Tony out, as now you got reporters trying to, hey, you won 5 games in a row. What's your success? Of course, Tony said me. Tony soon found out Mary Porter got a job at Texas to follow Tony to make sure he's still not cheating. Tony's pissed to find that out, but Coach D gave Tony a challenge. Like, look, we playing a good opponent. I want to see you complete at least 50% of the third downs. Tony accepts the challenge, and Tony's just getting good, man. He's already a 91 overall at this point, about to be even higher if he keeps this performance up.
Some would call it swag, some call it cockiness, some would call it being a diva. But when you're good, it's not bragging. An elite wide receivers and the confidence they exude often permeates an entire team, and we're going to see a couple of examples of that in this one. Welcome, everyone, to the home of the Auburn Tigers, Jordan-Hare Stadium. As we'll see one of the top teams in this conference taking on one of the participants from last year's playoff, the Auburn Tigers. For EA Sports College Football, Reese Davis with you alongside David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Time to get this game started.
This is Tony's first time ever playing at Auburn, so he was very interested to see the energy at Auburn because he had a little slight interest in Auburn at one point in his life, but he was down 14-0 with Auburn, so we knew he had to lock in at this point.
In the gun and looking to throw on third down. Touchdown, Texas!
Tony throws a touchdown pass in the very next drive, third quarter, 1 minute left, 3rd and 12. He looks deep, hits his tight end for another touchdown. And essentially, now it's tied 14-14. The defense don't hold up. The Auburn scores again. This is number 3 Auburn. So, of course, they can't hold him. But Tony runs in for another touchdown scramble to tie the game up. Now the game is 21-21. We're not giving up. Tony sees that they got another field goal, 24-21, throws it deep and actually throws a pick. He throws a pick into double coverage and actually gets their first loss of the year versus number 3 Auburn because the defense couldn't keep up, and it was a lot harder for Tony to maintain the offense when they kept outscoring the team. But even though it's such an early loss, the SEC has a lot of competition, so he knows that they can get their ratings back up by beating another high-ranked team. So no sweat. Madison, a new girl, asks him, hey, you want to go to my friend's weekend sister's house? Tony's kind of locked in at this point, but he does agree to go. He's like, look, I can't stay out late, but it can't affect my play. He go out and he get -15 attribute loss for the next game. All right, Tony already running on natural -15, so to add more is insane. And then Chad asks him, hey, I got cheat. You want to cheat? I got some papers. I got the answer. Now he's like, Tony in the past would have took this risk, but because of what happened at Mizzou, Tony learns maybe I should just do it myself. Maybe I should do it myself. So he goes ahead and does it himself. For the first time in life, he doesn't cheat. Unbelievable. Now, the big rival versus Oklahoma, Tony knew they had to beat the team. Even though they were ranked way higher than them, they knew they had to beat them. So he go ahead and get a quick touchdown. It's because you know how important this school rivalry is. That's all the girls been talking about. If you beat Oklahoma, you can take me out on a date. That's all Tony needed. So this whole game, he was locked in to make sure they defeat Oklahoma. He wouldn't take another L this season. He dedicated it. He stopped eating honey buns just to lock in this game. He like, look, I normally snack on honey buns, but not this game. And it paid off as Texas ended up sweeping right by Oklahoma for a quick win, a WSEC win to help their ratings go up because at that point, it had lost a little bit from losing to Auburn. But like I said earlier, the SEC is very comp. So even if you lose to another ranked team, it will boost it if you beat another higher ranked team. Tony's now a 93 overall. His ratings are flying this year because of his performance, and he's number one in the Heisman watch at this point. Number one. He's scheduled to make the Heisman at the moment. And in this game versus Tennessee, it proves it even more. Tennessee stood no match for Texas once again as he just throwing dots and touchdowns left and right, scoring again to make the game look a little bit closer than it was, but really it wasn't even a match. Another quick win by Tony and the Texas Longhorns. The next game versus FIU, another easy game, just an absolute slaughter. 62-0, another touchdown, just to run the score up even more. Why not? They ran that score up against FIU, no comp whatsoever. Tony continues his Heisman run, just absolutely destroying 550 pass yards and 8 touchdowns. Insane stats, just completely dominated FIU. FIU didn't even stand a chance. They were like, come on. This coach over there begging Tony, like, come on, just give us a break. I'm trying my best. Tony like, nah, unless you got something to eat. And he like, oh, you know what I'm saying? Exactly. He didn't have none. And Tony broke the single game record for the most pass yards, which was insane. And then Flannel Bar, who got 5 X's, was like, yo, we got a deal for you. We can hook you up with 5X flannels. I know you have a hard time finding clothes. And he's like, you know what? I do need some drip. I need some more drip. Y'all gonna help me out? Let's help me out. So he signed another NIL deal along with his steak NIL deal. So now he has 2 NIL deals, and Tony's a 94 overall at this point. Cooking. Tony in the Longhorn blow right past South Carolina the same way. Just an absolute blowout. 5 touchdowns, 185 passing yards, a high completion. The team, the whole nation is just looking at Tony as one of the next great QBs. And the crazy thing is he's only a sophomore. He's already projected to be the number 1 overall pick in the next year, in the 2 years ahead draft. And of course, the craziest thing happens. He's versing his old team, Missouri. You already know Tony locked in for this one. He can't stand how Missouri did him.
Snaps it in the shotgun. Looking to get it in. And he cruises his way to the halfway. Now a 2nd and long coming. Quarterback moving. And he'll step into the end zone. Touchdown, Longhorn! Well, that didn't necessarily start this drive. Now they'll really try to take it to this defense. Unloads to the right. Got him downfield. Into the secondary. Touchdown, Texas! He broke away from the defense. Their own goalpost have put quite a drive together. He'll do it himself. Got enough space. Touchdown, Longhorns! And they add 6 more to the board with that trip to the house.
Tony took this game personal and made sure Missouri did not win this game. And Coach Butch Jones, he didn't even shake Coach Butch Jones' hand. He was so pissed at Coach Butch Jones. He made sure he scored. Now, they did do a decent job of keeping him off the field, but every single time Tony touched the field, they did get some kind of score, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown. Ran over his ex-teammates, talking all kind of trash. Say, y'all should have kept me. Y'all should have kept me. Now I got to sit here and whoop y'all every year. Now Tony is a 94 overall, and he's looking good. He's fast, changes direction high, and his passing is excellent. Now Tony has to play against LSU as they are now number 5. This was a close game. This was a very close game, but off the rip in the first quarter, just wide open, blown coverage, quick touchdown to the wide receiver. In the fourth quarter, there was no score until the fourth quarter. Tony runs it in for a close. You see it's close, 10-14. LSU after that scores again, and now Tony is forced to do a game-winning drive. What he does best, scrambles up the field with 2 minutes left, fumbles, and actually they get the ball back. So that was a crucial fumble because now they drive down the field and leave Tony with 1 minute left to win the game. So Tony now has to come up with a game-winning drive with 1 minute. So they do a lot of no huddle, dot here, no huddle, keep it going. They have to keep the clock going. They got 40 seconds, 42, 41, finds the receiver wide open, tackles it at the 20, and now he has 30 seconds. He either can call a timeout, go for the field goal, or go for the win. Of course, Tony's going for the win.
Here's the snap, looking to throw. On the move now. Oh, they can't bring him down. Touchdown, Texas. They jump on top now here in the fourth.
Here we go. They take the lead. What an amazing comeback by this team and this offense. Now it comes down to can their defense hold the lead with under a minute to go.
With the clutch touchdown scramble, Tony wins the game with this scramble, and they go up LSU 21-17. Very clutch. Of course, it was all over ESPN, how he just ran right through the guy like he wasn't even there. Tony and his coaches were all happy about the win, and he even unlocked Winning Time Hall of Fame. Now it's time for the SEC Championship against #1 Georgia. Tony, now 95 overall, is locked in and ready to defeat Georgia. In the second quarter, Tony was scoreless, Georgia up 10, but he couldn't give up. He couldn't lose to Georgia. So he throws a bomb to his boy, and it's wide open. A big gain, and it leads to a touchdown the very next play, cutting the lead down. The lead is still crazy, 24-10. Georgia's winning. Texas still fighting to keep a chance of winning this SEC championship game. Tony throws a dot right down the middle, gets some yards after the catch, and Tony's zone right here throws a screen pass for the touchdown. They get a touchdown. However, Georgia's still winning 17. Tony does his best to try to make the comeback happen. He fights to the end, throws a dot, hit really hard. 3rd and 1, fourth quarter, 3 minutes left. They do not convert. So now they have to kick a field goal. It'll be 20-27. Tony now has the ball, 1 minute left, down 7 to Georgia. It's either score a touchdown or lose. It's a bad situation. Tony throws it deep, and it's incomplete. 2nd and 10. Tony does a quick option read, gets about 6, and it's still a minute left. They call a timeout to stop the clock. And Tony actually came out the game. Coaches didn't know why, but they found out later he had too much intestinal gas. He ate way too many burritos, and he was in a lot of pain.
Breaker. They'll have to pick up the pieces after this one.
Yeah, I think we both thought that this game was going to be really close, but I don't know if we would have been able to guess that it was going to be this close. They were so evenly matched, and it just came down to those few plays at the end that really decided.
And that is going to do it.
Tony vowed to never eat Chipotle again as he started winning rewards at the end of the season. He won the Walter Camp Award. 35 touchdowns is kind of crazy is what everybody was saying. They're like, yo, he's kind of doing his thing. He also won the Maxwell Award. Tony like, oh, man, they stacking it up. And, of course, Tony is the 2027 Heisman Trophy winner. It was not even close. It was unanimous. A unanimous winner. He also won the Davey O'Brien Award. He had all these trophies from just this one season. They couldn't believe it. First team All-SEC also. And you already know he's a first All-American. I mean, first team All-American. We already knew that. That's a given. And now they're still in the playoffs even though they lost the first playoff game against Buffalo. It was snow all over the place, snow everywhere, but it did not stop Texas from absolutely running through Buffalo. Wasn't even competition. As you see right here, Tony just throwing dots left and right, mad about his loss in the SEC championship game. He's locked in, but he is a Heisman winner, so he must show the world why he won Heisman, as you see.
Here he goes at the 30 now, at the 10. Motors all the way to the end zone. Touchdown, Longhorns.
Well, that's one way to make an impact play.
Texas end up completely blowing out Buffalo as they all had revenge and had their eyes set on a national championship. Tony knew that they can win the championship. They can just get by Georgia. All he wanted to do was get by Georgia because Georgia beat them when they could have had this easier. So beating Buffalo was a good warm-up for what they had to come up against next. Next game was Boston College, as they pretty much swept through Boston College as well. Not too difficult.
Scramble. Looking for the end zone. Has a lane. Touchdown, Longhorns. This offense is still.
This was a solid playoff win, but Tony was locked in. He knew that he had to keep focused if he wanted to win this championship. He knew he had to lock in, so he didn't get too hyped off the Boston College win. He stayed locked in. He saw how Jalen Hurts was. He did some gameplay studying on how locked in Jalen Hurts was to win against the Chiefs. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to get locked in too. No more showboating till I get this ring. The next game was against SMU. SMU was a solid team. Tony did his scouting report on me like they got a little decent defense. So he knew that, but he still scored anyway on them at will. It didn't matter because he did his research. He already knew SMU's weakness. 7-7, second quarter, another touchdown play. He did another one in the fourth quarter. The tie was a tie game. He wanted to win it. He did his signature play with his tight end. Then he looked downfield, saw receivers open, right in the goal line. In the goal line, you already know.
To break the tie here very late. There's the snap. They'll set up to throw. The pocket breaking down. Touchdown, Longhorns. And they take the lead here in the fourth quarter. In a pressure moment, but now the job gets even more exciting, even bigger as they go on to the national championship game and play for that trophy.
And this is a new era. I mean, think about the weeks and the amount of games that these guys have been able to play, and to be able to accomplish this, to get to the national championship, that says everything about the endurance of this football team, both mentally and physically, and they get one more hurdle to see if they can become the national champs.
And now the stage is set for this season's ultimate college football game. We will see you at the national championship.
Tony broke the single season touchdown rushing record, something they never thought that he would do, and for the SEC. And the national championship invited him versus USC. He thought Georgia would be there, but USC ended up beating Georgia. But you see right here, Tony is now at 96 overall. Tony knew that the national championship, USC was going to bring their A game. He knew this wouldn't be an easy game to win, as he didn't get the ball until the second quarter because they stayed on the field way too long to where he really couldn't get a chance into the second quarter. But they're trying to get a score right here in the goal line. They're having a hard time scoring. As you see, they don't get it, but they do get a field goal. USC up 7-3. Tony gets a dot off, trying to score in the third quarter to get some kind of play, some kind of touchdown going. Tony scrambles upfield for good yards. They around the 20. He throws a screen pass up. They get a good yardage there in the goal line. Tony line right here, Tony zone. They get a first rushing touchdown. They get their first touchdown. Up 10-7 against the USC. Hopefully the defense keeps still, and they do. They're on the 1-yard line. The running back gets a really big run to get them out of their own end zone. Essentially 7-10 with fourth quarter with 3 minutes left. Tony does a scramble upfield, trying to make sure they win the game. Tony does a halfback toss, and their running back is gone, and he gets hawked right around the 20-yard line. Now Tony gives it back to the halfback, or does an option, breaks through tackles, gets the first down, runs over more people, and hurts their opposing players. Tony does a quick dot and does a touchdown, man.
And it's caught. Touchdown, Texas.
Oh, the defense completely blows it here. They lose.
So this one is tucked away. Time for victory formation. And that knee should do it. We have our national champions. Well, this head coach told us be prepared well. We're ready. I'd be shocked if we didn't go out and play well. And he had a good read on his team. It was a big win.
This team was incredibly well prepared, and schematically, I liked a lot of the things they did to counter how the defense was attacking them. Sometimes games can be won and lost thanks to a good game plan, and we saw how it made a big difference today.
And that's going to do it as we crown another national champion and punctuate a wild, exciting season of college football. For Kirk Herbstreit and our entire crew behind the scenes, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been a presentation of EA Sports College Football. They are official, your kings of college football and national champions, the Texas Longhorns.
Tony at this point is on top of the world. Got reporters asking him left and right, what you gonna do? How's it all going? He said, I'm just happy that I'm here. I'm going crazy. Brand's going through the roof. He's a national champion. He's a Heisman winner. And he debates, should he stay or should he run it back at Texas? He thought about it long, had a long discussion with his family. Family tried to get him to go back to Missouri, come back home. But he couldn't do it. He thought about Missouri State, but Missouri State is trash. So he like, look, I'm going to stay in Texas and run it back. Look, I'm a king here. I'm a king around here. I'm literally everybody. Everybody know me, man. The team all want to ride with him. And then he like, I'll just meet you there. And because of that, we losing energy. You see this? This some cheese, Tony said. Man, why everybody want me now? Now all the brands hitting them up. Tony never had this fame before. He like, I'm just the D tackle that's playing QB. Remember, I'm just the D lineman. But Tony's signing deals left and right. Junior year, Tony had the biggest ego of all. He had a Terrell Owens type ego. If you know about Prime T.O., that was very dangerous, as Tony threw a pick in his first drive versus Louisiana Tech. Now, this guy, Tony's supposed to be a pre-drafted first pick overall at this point. Everybody going to pick him first pick next year. He's already predetermined, so this year he didn't really take it serious, and he messed around making mistakes against Louisiana Tech. His team completely like, bro, you're not locked in, dog. You got the ring, and now you chilling. Texas number 2 over here struggling against Louisiana Tech, and they're about to lose to a terrible team, about to pull out one of the biggest upsets in history if they don't get it together. It's the second quarter, and they're down 14-0, and you blink, they're up 24-0, and Tony's playing absolutely terrible. Again, they even take him out for the remainder of the game. Coach is pissed at him.
I sort of think that over the years you get immune to these types of upsets, but this one is a shocker that might go on the list of all-timers.
Dude, huge win. Like, you can't say enough about being a team with a considerable talent disadvantage. Like, you're the underdog for a reason. You go in, this is a top 10 team you're playing against. Like, everything says you shouldn't.
The whole campus was in shock. Reporters asking Tony what happened, and Tony said, man, it's the coach. They took me out mid-game when I was trying to do the comeback. Coach is very upset, and coach trust suddenly decreased even though Tony's a Heisman winner. Coach presses Tony, and Tony presses him back. He like, look, thanks for the heads up, coach. And now that coaches are pissed, and they're about to bench Tony even after the Heisman.
Dancing lights trying to hype this crowd into a frenzy, and it's working because they know what a huge matchup is in store. Welcome, everyone, to the home of the Fighting Irish, South Bend, Indiana, beneath the Golden Dome and Notre Dame Stadium. As we'll see, the defending national champions, the Texas Longhorns, taking on the 11th ranked team in the land, the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, David Pollack, Jesse Palmer alongside. Guys, we can't wait to see this game. Been looking forward to it all week.
Tony with ego through the roof. He knew the coaches ain't benching him. He like, the coach ain't benching me. Y'all need me. I'm literally the best player in college football. I'm the best out here. You need me. As he still was struggling against Notre Dame also. Notre Dame had their number also. And after losing to Louisiana Tech, you would think Texas would lock in, but Tony over fumbling balls, throwing picks, getting sacks, just making dumb plays overall. His team started turning on it like, bro, I thought you was cool, bro. Tony over here trying to suddenly get it together, but it was too late. They already was down 24-0 at this point, and they already was about to lose a game. That's 2 in a row for a team that just won the championship the year before. Tony throws a pick in the fourth quarter, and that goes ahead and seal it as Notre Dame beats Texas, and Texas takes another L after the championship.
Coming into this one, we wondered whether these guys were a little bit overrated, and certainly they did nothing to dispel that notion.
They were playing angry today, and I know talking to some of their players, David, coming into this game, they felt like they were being disrespected. A lot of people thought their opponent might get them today, so they took this opportunity to make a statement.
The unthinkable happens. Coach D benches Tony after losing the first 2 games and playing poorly. Of course, Tony has a sarcastic response, thinking that the team needs him, but they actually bench a Heisman winner, a Maxwell winner, a Walter Camp winner. They bench him and put him on the bench, so Tony has to sit and watch Texas play everybody without him. Now, everybody's wondering what happened to Tony. All the media's turning against him. Is he a locker room problem? He may be a locker room issue because his coach isn't even starting him, and he's the best player in college football. No one's ever seen a story like this, as he literally sat and just watched Texas play without him multiple games as he's on the bench. He has to sit and practice harder just to get a chance to prove the coach is wrong, and the coaches ain't having it. They're like, look, unless you check your attitude, you're not touching the field anymore, and they held strong. They stand 10 toes on that as he blew by his junior year without even stepping on the field. They playing teams and they're still winning without him because Texas overall was a good school still. Tony just took them over the edge as they're still able to get wins without Tony. Tony's sitting here upset and salty that they're still winning even though he ain't even getting any playing time. And he finally gets a chance to compete for quarterback 1. Finally, after sitting on the bench for 3-4 weeks in a row, coach gives him another chance. He's like, look, you beat out the QB in this QB battle. The spot is yours again. So, of course, Tony was already proven better than the guy he was already ahead of. So this was a piece of cake. He goes and dominates the drills, dominates the position battle, makes sure he wins every single one with style, with class, with vision, with poise to guarantee that he once again wins the starting battle. Tony was locked in, upset, and embarrassed as the coaches finally were able to humble him. This was Tony's big return on national television. People wondered what happened to Tony, and Coach actually did Tony a favor and never explained why he didn't play, but they did just say he was out for an indefinite reason, and now Tony is back on the field. They scored a touchdown the first drive. Second drive, they look to score again. This is his comeback game. Tony's more locked than ever. He was humbled, and now he knows that his job can be taken even if he's a star.
Quarterback doing what he does best. He can move. And he's loose, and he'll take it to the house. Touchdown, Longhorns! No midseason concentration laps here in Week 7 as they push.
Tony jumped back in like he never left, throwing dots all over the field, long plays, very accurate, very precise passes, showing not that he just got a leg, but he got an arm as well, as they go ahead and beat Oklahoma in the classic rivalry in Dallas, Texas, going absolutely insane. Everybody's hyped. They're like, yeah, we got our Tony back. We got our QB back. QB1 here.
Bragging rights for another whole year.
A whole year of bragging. And a whole year of telling OU fans, you're not as good as us. You can throw up the hook 'em horns. You can do it with pride. A lot on the line every year in the Red River rivalry.
It may not be a crown, but it's a hat, and it is golden. In this latest edition of the Red River rivalry, it goes to Texas. For David Pollack and Jesse Palmer, I'm Reese Davis.
The next game, Tony was back in Heisman form. He did a lot of practicing and a lot of passing, a lot of preparation, and he was right back in Heisman form after those 2 losses in the beginning of the year. He was looking like his old self, throwing dots, rolling right on past Florida's defense like it wasn't even there. And they go in Florida and beat Florida 38-28. Tony with 357 pass yards, 4 TDs, and 1 interception. People are like, oh, it wasn't a fluke. He really is that good. As Tony had to prove the doubt run. They thought his sophomore season was a fluke. Tony had to prove it wasn't no fluke. We can run this back and do it again. Although winning Heisman would be tough, especially with all the time he missed. He missed a lot of his stats, but he is still the highest rated player in college football. So he still could possibly make a Heisman run if he dominates, as he continued to dominate versus number 2 Georgia. His nemesis that he seemed to can't beat. He locked in this week because he knew he had a hard time beating Georgia. Georgia always beat him.
From this red zone opportunity. And you race it to the house. Touchdown, Longhorns!
Right before halftime, Tony breaks away, sees a little opening in the lane with no time in the second half, runs upfield to try to get a quick touchdown, but he comes short, at least setting the tone that he's locked in. Texas up 17-14 at this point, and they get a touchdown drive after a long completion, and Tony sees an opening and
down. And he runs it in for the score. Touchdown, Texas! That score will give them a little more room to operate here in the fourth quarter as they go for their 6th straight win.
Another rushing touchdown. That's now 2 on the game. This offense thought they could come into this one running the ball, being the more physical team, and they look like
that hurdle was all over TikTok, all over ESPN and Sports Illustrated cover. They did it all for that hurdle. The hurdle even made it onto the new EA Sports game cover, which made Tony's day because he finally beat Georgia after taking a many losses to Georgia. He finally got over that hurdle and beat that team. They had made a meme on Twitter said the only thing that can stop Tony is Georgia or a salad. Either one first. So Tony made sure to end at least half of that joke.
Just balance, rhythm, timing, play calling.
And they're going to score again. Yet another touchdown as they just add the class. The ability to play to that standard and finish with a blowout like this is really impressive.
And it's almost like playing against yourself, right? You know you're better. You know you're going to win.
After blowing by Kentucky, Tony is now a 97 overall. His new rating, he's ready to test it out on a nice opponent.
No secrets in conference play. They know you know them, and there's always a little trickle of bad blood here and there, particularly when both teams are ranked, as these two are in this one. Welcome to Reynolds Razorback Stadium, home of the Arkansas Razorbacks. As we'll see the national champions from last year, the Texas Longhorns, taking on the 14th ranked team in the land, the Arkansas Razorbacks. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, joined here in the booth, as always, by...
Next opponent was Arkansas, number 14, so they were respectable. As the first drive, Tony hits a screen pass and takes it in for a touchdown on the very first drive. On his second drive, he scores by doing a scrambled touchdown and hits his signature ham hog dance. He loved hitting the ham hog dance right there. That's been his signature all season. Actual viral on TikTok with a nice little sound. Arkansas gets a little rowdy, but it doesn't matter because Tony still takes it off.
Moving away from pressure. Look out, he's got room. Oh, there's an alley on the left. Lots of running room. He's at the 20. And he ran away from the crowd, and he'll take it in. Touchdown, Longhorns! They want to finish the season strong, and man, are they doing that here in this Week 11 performance. They've extended this lead, guys, but sometimes in a rivalry game, you get down and you fight back that much harder.
After that long rushing touchdown, Tony does another rushing touchdown right after, and that seals the game for them to go and blow out Arkansas, number 14 Arkansas. This helps their stake because they're number 5 right now to go even higher to make another championship run. We started off very slow, losing our first 2 games, and now we're at the point where we can actually make a championship run and possibly do a repeat. Although Tony may not win the Heisman because he missed way too many games and started too slow, he still may be a champion. That's all that really matters, especially as he blows right past Vanderbilt with a blowout. And they obviously couldn't do anything to stop Tony as well, as Tony blew right by Vanderbilt like they weren't even there. Texas blows right past Vanderbilt and looks forward to their next opponent, Texas A&M, which is also a ranked team that can help boost them even higher.
10 clash, the focus of the entire nation, zooms in on a game like that. When it's a conference showdown, the stakes are even higher. Welcome to College Station, Texas. Kyle Field over the 12th man and the Texas A&M Aggies. As we'll see the national champions from last year, the Texas Longhorns, taking on one of the top 5 teams in the conference, the Texas A&M Aggies. For EA Sports College Football, I'm Reese Davis, here with David Pollack and Jesse Palmer. Guys, let's get this thing rolling.
Number 4 versus number 9. As you would think this would be a close game, it actually wasn't. Texas absolutely dominated in every aspect of the game. They couldn't score on Texas. Texas can score as much as it wanted to. As Tony would hit his receiver, and they were just going crazy this game. He over here helping them get their draft stock higher. Number 2 literally got a draft stock higher off, as Tony hit him numerous times throughout this game to make sure he get his. And, you know, Tony gonna get his as well. As you know, no one wants to tackle a 4'3", 400-pounder. Nobody wants to do that. As Tony is now into the second quarter, runs the score up to 28 to hits number 2 once again. To the point now it's fourth quarter, and they do a run play, and the run play go all the way for another touchdown. So run the score up even more. Tony over here doing backflips of excitement because he's so happy. And they get another blowout win. Back-to-back blowout wins. They just out here dominating. It's looking like Texas is about to repeat, and nobody's going to stop them. No one can stop them other than Mary Porter. That's the only person that may have stopped them. She can't say nothing because Tony got good grades. Tony got his grades right. So no one can stop Tony at this point. No one can stop Texas at this point. Texas is flying right back into that number 1 category as Tony is improving so much. He's a 98 overall, 1 overall away from the max overall, 99. Now they got to play Auburn, number 2 Auburn, and they're number 3. You already know this is about to be a crazy game. In the conference championship versus Auburn, this was Tony's first chance to win a conference championship ever, because in all his conference championships, he either lost or he couldn't play, as he leaps over the guy in the first one, once again getting another crazy jumping montage. You know, his jumping montages on TikTok are absolutely insane, as he gets a crazy breakaway.
In the clear, putting toward the end zone, and he could not be stopped. Touchdown, Texas.
I don't care what era we're talking.
As they had the lead with only 10 seconds left in the second quarter, run the score up even more. Tony gets a freak of nature touchdown.
Touchdown, Longhorns.
I mean, body blow after.
And give us our new conference champs. Wow, what a tremendous run these guys have had, and now they can call themselves champions of the SEC. That's one of the most difficult titles to earn in this sport. And now with the playoff looming, we can find out how they fare against the 11 other best teams in the nation. And that is going to do it. We enjoyed being here. For Kirk Street, I'm Chris Fowler, and this has been another presentation of EA Sports College Football.
Tony got his first conference championship, but he did not win Heisman, as Andy won Heisman from Ohio State. But in the Sugar Bowl, they had to play Tony's arch nemesis once again, Georgia. Tony hates playing Georgia. Georgia's the only team that has seemed to slow down Tony in his whole college career, but once again, he has to play him. This was a very important game for Tony. Tony was locked in, got a quick scramble off rim, runs up the field, outruns everybody.
Here he goes. Tackle just short of the goal line at the one. What a run.
Stopped at the goal line, but 2 plays later, they ran it in. And in the next possession, you'll never guess what happened.
His left now, escaping the pocket. Makes the first on his own, looking for more now. And he runs it in for the score. Touchdown, Texas.
Well, the defense is so caught up in stopping this passing game.
At halftime, Texas was actually winning 14-10 versus Georgia Bulldogs, and he was not about to let Georgia stop him from getting his second championship win, because he already knew if he can get past Georgia, he will win the championship, because there's no other team in the college football playoffs that poses any threat. So he was happy to play the hardest team first, but things didn't go exactly as he expected, as he hit a green pass in the third quarter, which got them up a lot of yards. A few plays later, he hits his tight end. A few plays after that, they hit a good run play, gets a first down. We're taking yards off the field. He gets close to another touchdown, runs in the outside, tries to power it in right at the 1 or the 2 yard line, and then the unthinkable happens. Tony gets hurt, so he has to sit out a play. They run another play without him. Tony said, nah, I'm good. I can get back in. But Tony low-key kind of limping around now. This is not good. Tony's a little bit hurt this game because he did not rest appropriately. He should have rested a little bit more, but he's limping around, and coach is noticing. So coach calls him over like, Tony, are you good to go or no? Tony, of course I'm good to go. So Tony keeps playing, throws a screen pass. I'm going to chill on the run, but we still win this game. I'm just here to seal the game at this point. So Tony says that, but he still runs anyway, and the lineman falls on his ankle, and a shot of pain just happened. Unbearable pain. He couldn't believe it. My ankle. Hold on, coach. Hurry, coach. Give me some ice. Hurry. Swollen ankle. Coach would not let Tony back on the field, and long and behold, Texas loses.
In these playoff games, it's win or go home. So one side can continue to dream about the national championship. The other side, suddenly, Kirk, their season is over. But it's been a good ride.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. It's easy to focus on the team that advances, and they should be happy, obviously. They had a great year. They're going to continue to go on. But the team that comes up a little bit short, you can see the emotion down on the field right now. They put so much into this year. Hopefully they'll be able to learn from this and come back even stronger next year.
And that's going to wrap it up. The loser starts the offseason. The winner moves on. And so do we. For Kirk Herbstreit, I'm Chris.
After losing to Georgia once again, Tony was sick, but now he had to make a decision. Does he stay or does he go to the NFL? Tony would be a #1 pick if he goes to the NFL, so Tony decided to go to the NFL instead of staying one more year.